timing on it. But yet when we wanted to get something done, we would get on the list and then wait. Or we would have to pay high dollar for parts. And it was not. It wasn't as good a situation.
As far as training?
Training.
Yeah, nobody, when the plan was put in, Train is a proprietary system that has, you have to have a password and all sorts of security things to get through before you can even make adjustments to the system. Well, it's been 17, 20 years and nobody knows the password. So there's no way we can even get into the system to make any adjustments. Right now it's just set to where it's either on or off. And with the new system, that is not a proprietary system. Anybody that field can work on that. It has its own unit that you can make adjustments from, but it also is going to have a computer program where you can bring it up in the office and make adjustments to the system as you're sitting at the computer.
I think there's one other question though. I see that on the evaporator, they approved it. Am I wrong?
Nope, you're right.
And the first one was for a 6-ton unit, the second one was for a 6-ton unit, the third one for a 5-ton unit. Our current unit is a 5.5-ton. And I'm wondering about why it was going down the side.
Well, it's going down, as you know, probably with your systems at the school, systems nowadays are completely different than they were 20 years ago. Yeah, the new systems are much more energy efficient and efficient overall. So yes, the 5-ton would probably do the same job as an 8-ton when it was 20 years old. So,
well, you guys, you and Gary and Ross, you talked this over and you're satisfied with that, sure.
Yeah, we have some very awesome people that we went through the process to find that were, when we talked to them, they made us feel absolutely confident as to what they were going to do. Because we went through quite a few different vendors, and we really are going with the ones that are that we can actually put our trust in, I guess you would say.
This Chrome Mechanical Inc., they have a PO box, but they have a Rockford address.
Yes.
Where?
Chrome is in Rockford. They come from Rockford.
Okay. This PO box is
Actually, Chrome Mechanical is a very large company.
yeah. I don't know where yeah. Any other questions of Ms. Strussman on this? Thanks. Okay, now new business. New business. We have stricken policy 12 for this one. Ms. Christensen?
We're just asking you to approve the annual fire agreement with Nelson Township and authorizing the mayor and clerk to sign on behalf of the city. In your agenda packet, the agenda report gives you the breakdown on how we arrive at those figures each year. And if you have any questions, I'm sure Deb can answer those for you.
I have one question, Mr. Mayor. We got a recommendation in the fire study with Stoughton Township that the amount of money we were charging in the Nelson Township fire agreement was not really sufficient. Have we looked at that in relationship to this?
We haven't really studied that. I know that we ask more from them each year.
Well,
Did we do anything different this year?
We didn't do anything different this year. If we take our actual costs from the last year on June 2015 and use the number of calls that we made, and that's how we come up with the number, and then it's a 3-year average. So like on a year, last year when we bought the turnout gear and the rescue vehicle, we had a larger expense that year, so they also paid a larger amount. So it's in relation, their fee is in relation to how much we're spending also.
Right.
But
when
we
we-
haven't discussed changing the,
Because, but Claire, and I'm not saying we should or shouldn't approve it, I'm trying to mesh that with, I mean, we just spent, I don't know, $10,000 or $8,000 to have this fire study done. And one of the things that study told us is that we weren't really recouping all of our costs.
But we are getting our costs back that we,
Well,
that we
I
put
mean,
out.
I can go back and pull it up. I mean, Marty, am I wrong?
It's a different.
Our share is like, the next says, it's a percentage of our cost billed to Nelson Township. However, comparing it with the other two districts that contract, being Sand Lake and Spencer, it's comparable.
So did I read that wrong?
Sand Lake does a little more, runs, somewhere between 10 and 20 runs a year, so their paycheck at the end of the year is a little larger. Spencer does less runs than we do, so their paycheck is a little less. So averaged out, excuse me, we're setting the middle of the stream.
Did I not understand that analysis piece of that fire
That was,
study?
understand that individuals' opinion.
Okay. I got the impression it was based on math.
Well,
Am I wrong?
He took several different things from different areas. If you go back through that report, you'll find out that there's cost and wages and et cetera from several different departments in the area, same size. One of them was New Britain or something like that.
Right.
Now, whatever they negotiated their arrangement with their township was based on this survey. So he's gathering information from several large communities of our
Okay.
equal or bigger size and comparing that.
So those
Yeah.
other communities aren't doing it based on cost.
I'm not sure what their formulas are, but his opinion was that we are giving Nelson Township a super deal. Well, I think we're being fair.
And I'm not looking to be unfair.
No.
I absolutely don't.
No,
I don't want to rip anybody off.
No, I understand that, but at what we're doing right now and the formula that we have, and it took me a couple of years to understand that myself. I wasn't quite sure how it worked, and through the patience and guidance of Mrs. Burnett, I understand it more today than what I did 6 months ago, and I believe it to be a fair formula.
Okay. So you feel like this is my takeaway. I got that maybe there were some internal structural costs that we weren't covering that might elevate that as things like that percentage of our electricity or that percentage of our getting our training or whatever that might be. But your feeling is that that's being covered?
yeah, because all those are costs that are in our
That are-
budget.
Or in the piece of the whole?
Yeah, like the electric training, that's all in our budget, so they're paying a percent of that budget.
Based on their calls, et cetera.
Exactly, so that it is all part of it.
Okay.
Their cost in its geographical area and the whole bit.
Just, if we're gonna pay a lot of money for a fire study, and it gives us a recommendation,
Well-
if we're not gonna, I'm not gonna say we have to take it, if we're not gonna take it, I feel like I wanna understand why we're not taking it.
Well, just to add to a part like Mrs. Burnett was saying too, our utilities are included in that. So
Okay.
it's not earmarked, broken down by line, but Nelson Township in reality is paying a percentage of our electrical use. They're paying a percentage of our water use. They're paying a percentage of our heat. They're paying a percentage of our fuel. It's not broken down individually each.
Sure, I just didn't know if that was
In that-
being calculated in.
In that formula, they are sharing the cost.
Okay, which, by the way, is fair, if we're gonna run our stuff out there and put the miles on our trucks, and, by the way, happy to do it. Well, I shouldn't say happy, you all are the ones running these buildings the rest of us are running out of. But I think it's a wonderful thing that our fire department can support other communities in that capacity. I just wanna make sure everybody's getting treated fairly.
Well, again, and I realize that we're running into a time factor here, the people in Nelson Township are getting a real good deal for their buck. However, we're being compensated fairly for providing them services, and,
That was my only concern.
yep, I feel it's a,
A win-win.
I hate to hesitate to say win-win, but yes.
Okay.
Mr. Clark, you had a question briefly?
I hope Marty can answer this. Another part of the study suggested that we could recoup money by charging on, I think, larger fires. That's something that insurance companies would,
Willing to pay?
A $500,
can you speak to that as part of our income stream? Is there any?
It's a cost recovery policy that we do not currently have. Talking with several outlying fire departments, very, very few do that. However, stating that the insurance company, if you send them a bill for $500, they'll cut you a check tomorrow afternoon. I don't know. I had conversations with Mr. Taylor before his departure in regards to that, and again, this is something that I would like to chew on and pursue maybe with the new city manager, because there also is a policy out there that we could recoup some cost for down power lines that were there for more than an hour or 2 hours. I'm not sure what the time frame is.
or 48, or 76.
There's a trade-off on that.
Yeah, it's something that will have to be studied, and if we get some data and some facts together, I can present it to the council and see which direction they would like to go.
Okay, thank you. Any other discussion? I need a motion.
Mr. Mayor, I'll make a motion to approve item 2016-17 Nelson Township Fire Agreement and authorize the mayor and the clerk to sign on behalf of the city.
Second.
It's been moved and second. Any further discussion? No further discussion? I will do a roll call. Ms. Conley?
Yes.
Mr. Truesdale? Yes. Mrs. Powell?
Yes.
Mrs. Nixon?
Yes.
Mr. Hopkins?
Yes.
Mr. Clark?
Yes.
Mr. Hall votes yes. Motion carries. Thank you. Moving on to item B. Ms. Christine?
This is the first reading of Resolution 2016-07. It's a resolution that's recognizing the 2016 Chamber of Commerce events as community events. This is the first year that they did a multiple application of all of their events that they're going to be doing throughout the year. And I've looked over their application, and everything was in order. The only thing that I would stipulate when you approve it next month is that we have a new proof of insurance. Their insurance expires as of June 1st. But other than that, we have all their paperwork, and I think it looks good.
Who's the will of the council?
Mr. Mayor, I make a motion to pass a resolution to turn my computer back on. For item number 2016-07, recognizing the 2016 Chamber of Commerce events as community events. Or actually, we're not making a motion. This is discussion.
Just discussion.
First reading, never mind. I think it's exciting. Woohoo!
Go ahead.
Brenda, on the manager review, you have the bracket with the star by it. Is that just for your own use?
Yes.
Okay.
And there was one other thing that included with this will be overnight camping in Morley Park for the Renaissance Fair. So if you approve this next month, you will also be asked to approve that as well.
Yeah, one more example of a community use of public property.
Yeah. I'm, okay, one time, please. Any other questions?
I have a question.
Go ahead, Ms.
Can we just go ahead and, next month, could we approve it pending proof of current insurance?
For next month, because this is a
Well, their insurance expires the beginning of June, So typically you don't get your insurance policies until very close to expiration
Well,
date.
that's fine, but I mean, if we approve all of them,
Oh,
and some
you're
of them,
saying pending the insurance, yeah,
right.
yeah,
Pending approval, continued approval of insurance.
I didn't understand.
Last year, they wouldn't give us, if I remember correctly, they wouldn't give us the renewal until I believe it was 60 or 30 days prior to the expiration. It might have been 60, but we couldn't get it any earlier than that. And
Right.
we're trying to get it, I'd like to see it where it goes January to January. We happen to have got it in June and it expires in the middle of the year.
Sure.
So we're gonna run into this every year.
Well, that's fine. I just want to make sure that
Oh, no, I know
if we
you-
can just approve everything for you, and
Yeah,
then
about that.
contingent on when you get the new proof, bring it in.
Bring it in, yes.
Then we can just all go on our merry way.
And just to clarify, this doesn't include the mingle with Kris Kringle?
This only
Or does.
events through Halloween.
This only goes through Halloween. I did
Can-
not put the,
I was gonna say, can we give them the option to add on the Kris Kringle, since
Well, I'll
we're
come to
talking
it
about it
separate.
right now?
I'm just,
I'll give you-
have them resubmit.
I'll give you a separate application.
Okay.
And I did that intentionally.
Okay.
Because we're not sure if this is a parade or if it's not a parade, or do I need a parade?
Or you get-
So we
Okay.
don't know, let's get
Got
closer,
it.
and then I'll give you a whole other application.
Got it.
Okay. I have one question on your application, and you have a check no in the box. This is certificate acceptable by the city attorney that allocations will indemnify the city and its officers and employees and hold them harmless from any and all that criminal lawsuits or liability. You have no on that.
To the vet, years ago, when I first started submitting these things, I believe I've checked no on that every time. I can't tell you who instructed me that the insurance policy and adding you to our insurance policy as an additional insured took care of that, and there
Okay.
wasn't a separate statement needed. I couldn't quote who told me that, that's been my belief.
Okay.
I don't know what statement that means, so I put no.
Your insurance does cover that, though.
Yeah, your insurance, yeah, you are added to our insurance policy.
That's what I was saying, you checked, that's why I was sure that we were added to it, but this.
I thought that was a separate thing.
So that was the only question I had, that should be changed to
There's a
yes.
separate
Yeah.
part of your insurance that indemnifies the city.
So I can check my.
Yeah, I would put yes there.
Because
Okay.
our insurance company does charge us extra to have the city on there.
Yeah, and they all do, but this one says no, then stop, so if we got into legal battle,
So we
let's
should
say,
change that back.
Yeah, it should be yes.
they could say, well, you don't, but, okay.
So when we
everybody
vote on
stop.
it next month, it'll change the box.
My question, Sean, or the city manager, is the amount of insurance. You know, I mean, some of these events, they're quite active and, you know, you buy insurances at different levels of liability, or what could be the liability of the city. You follow me? And I'm saying there, you know, whether they call it a rider or whatever they term it, I would just want to make certain personally that we're well covered in case someone would lose an eye or.
Yeah.
We set it up originally based on what we were advised as what the city required as a minimum.
The city
If they want to
requires-
raise the minimum, we'll raise that.
This is the same amount that the Red Planet Festival also has in their insurance, so they're both. Well,
I'm down,
The
Bob.
insurance they have is specifically for events. This insurance company, that's the reason why we had to stop using auto owners, because auto owners no longer does change because of the events. When we only had 3 events, they let us slide on that. When we got beyond 3 events, they said no, because it's too much liability. And that's why it costs so much.
About two in your packet, it shows the
I
rider.
know as a business owner, you know, to be $1 million coverage for signage in the street right away and so on and so forth. I just wanted to make certain that there's equality here and that
Yep.
we're well covered.
Looks like it.
There's a minimum requirement for the city they have to provide. And that's what it
And they're meeting that requirement.
is. Okay.
I have a question.
Go ahead.
The 5th Annual Community Celebration Day at Movie at Marlin looks to be quite a bit larger than just the sidewalk sales and the movies. Can you, tell us what the, events are?
I'm on that committee again this year. Well, we tried to change it up, and we made the mistake of going under the if it's not broke, fix it till it is mentality. And we kept changing it, and our first year was the biggest year, and it kind of went down from there. We're going back to the original plan behind it. We've got a list of the vendors we used before, and it's going to be more than sidewalk sales this year. We're going to have the entertainment back, and it'll be back to what it was.
Okay, so you're gonna close the street off and put.
If I ask you for it.
You are thinking of Father's Day celebration. We did not put a tent up for the.
No, we never did
She,
the tent.
she's thinking of something else. She's thinking of a beer tent. Is that where you're headed?
No, I'm just asking if they're gonna close off the street.
Yes, I did ask for that. Ash Street from Main to Second.
And, there's gonna be entertainment in there?
There was nothing like with a big stage or anything else. And if you remember the first one, we had like buskers and we had like somebody, it just like a little one-man band or one-woman band type deals. And they kind of walk up and down the road or they'll set up a booth or go to a corner or something like that. The Zumba people did set up just in the street and on Ash Street and did demonstrations and then left. But there was no permanent structures or tents or anything put up.
Entertainment and food.
Petting zoo and
Yes,
stuff.
they have 4-H, we'll probably set up a petting zoo.
No, beer tent?
No, I never had one for that.
All right, so, I guess my next question is, the Spooktacular, is that gonna have barrels down the street, or what?
That's the plan.
Yes, same as last year. We do that to slow traffic because we can't block it and we can't crossing guards. It seemed to work out well, made people go a little slower down the road.
The time frame was a little wonky last year. On the Spooktacular, like, we headed
That was an
out.
yes, you got theirs and everybody was out. Yeah, that was an advertising issue. I think the paper or somebody had it starting later. I don't know who had it
It
starting,
was
they had
only
it
a
starting
half
at 6
hour
or 7. It
difference
was
than
actually
what we
over
did
at
any
7.
other year.
Right. But there was some place that was listed as starting later. That was an advertising issue. It's going to be corrected.
Okay, so the time frame is gonna be what you have in here?
Time frame maybe 4:30 to 7. Is that what you got in there?
4:30 to 7, okay, yes, but you'll want to pay attention as it gets closer. That's the full scope of it. For instance, in years past, we'll have, and this year hopefully, Calvary or somebody puts together that thing at,
Corner of Ash. Yeah.
Corner of Ash, it's like the kids' carnival.
Right,
Just little
right.
games they can play, and that's
Right.
really what starts at 4. Trick or treat will be when it's announced. I mean, whatever
Okay.
time that normally is, and I don't recall. So, 5 or 6, whatever time that starts.
Okay.
But we need to make sure that people know that.
Yeah, because it was sort of,
This year, I think that's exactly what happened, was they saw this event starting at 4, so people came out trick or treat.
Well,
That's
it's
not
a
what we-
Saturday, which typically it doesn't fall on a Saturday. Normally it falls
On
a
a
school
weekday,
day or
yeah.
a work day. And this
I-
year with leap year, it's not gonna be on
I don't
Sunday,
care
it'll be on
what
Monday.
time you have it. It's just, I happen to have a trick-or-treater,
Well,
and we were out, and it was like, oh, it's over. That isn't what I thought it said.
All right, let's move on.
I got one more
the
question.
timing was because normally it's during the week, and if it's done by 7, you can get home, get the kids to bed without having them all sugared up.
Yeah, it was just, there was just a publishing.
Yeah, I think by the time you showed up, I gave them like a pen and
It
whatever.
doesn't matter.
Pocket.
It was just confusing, that's all.
I just have one more question. And it says special request for this event, it says nuns, but you are going to be requesting the barrels, right, from the city for the Spooktacular?
Where at?
Spooktacular.
But we're not asking the city to do that, we do that.
We're gonna,
They're gonna use the city.
Right,
They're
but
Yeah,
you're gonna tell them that you want the barrels and that's, you know.
She just wants to make sure it happens, even though.
we are gonna put the barrels out, but yeah, we don't need the city to,
Okay.
yeah.
So you have to-
I see what you're saying. We're not gonna ask city employees to do
Right.
it.
Just gotta make them aware. The other thing is no road closures are being requested for this event, but there is, so that's something that you might want to correct on
Who
this.
are we? I'm not asking.
We're at Ash Street, where you're putting the
Not for
carnival?
spectacular.
No?
That's spooky.
No, they go in the lot.
Oh,
They go on
okay.
private, but yeah, they don't,
Okay.
we don't close anything.
Oh, okay.
As a matter of fact, the last couple, I think one year they even set up at United Methodist. They set up
That was
inside
because of the
somewhere,
rain.
I don't know, because of the rain.
Yeah.
Last year we didn't have it at all because of the rain.
It was, yeah, all the weather was terrible.
Okay.
And it's something they do, it's not,
Right.
yeah, that we don't, yeah.
It's just a thing they do that you're like, oh, hi.
Thanks for doing that.
So when you get your insurance, it will be covered all the way through the spectacular.
It'll be covered all the way through next June.
Okay.
It's a year.
It's an annual thing.
And you'll have it by the time they have to.
Well, the
Hold on.
expiration back.
Well,
No.
no, because they can't get the new piece for June. So what we're
I just
gonna,
said that. No.
so what we're gonna do
Health
is,
insurance.
when we vote on it, we're gonna approve it pending the renewal of their insurance in June.
Okay.
So they'll just be good, and then
And
they
then
bring
they'll
in insurance.
bring in
and
their
they're
piece of
good.
paper to the city manager.
I'd like to get a prorated policy done with it, make it good January.
Maybe.
Because we run into this every year. Well, they wouldn't let us do it. We'll try.
That's up to you folks, so
Yep.
good luck.
But we can adjust our motion accordingly.
All right, no further discussion? Thank you, Mr. Cathcart. Item C,
Yeah, I'm just going to give you a report on the current estimated fund balance.
Before we go into fund balance, I passed out budgets, and it's just preliminary budget, because we have our meeting Monday, March 28th, so you can look that over. I do not have the water sewer budget in there because we haven't decided on rates yet, so I can't do budget. I don't know how much it's at. So that is for you to take and look at and go over before the budget workshop. Feel free to call me or email me with any questions before the workshop. But that's, right now, the budget is, you've been looking at the fund balance. And the first page in it is a list of proposed projects that are funded in it at this point. And then on the bottom is a list of, projects that were not funded at this time. But we can, this is just for your information, and we'll discuss that all at the workshop, but I wanted you to have a chance to look at it before that time.
yeah.
Okay, so then moving on to the fund balance report, I was doing budgets, I thought it would be helpful to see where we're at right now. This is just estimated, our final one was June at the end of the year, so moving forward, so far this year, we've taken $51,000 out of fund balance, so that brings it down to 37.9%. The city policy is to keep the unassigned fund balance at a minimum of 20%. So there are some items that we've, they're not officially reserved or assigned, but we in our minds have been putting money away, kind of saving for these things. That is the future bridge work, the turnout gear, the rescue vehicle, and the county engine, which comes to about $135,000. So if you add those things in, that actually would bring the fund balance down to roughly 29% right now. That's it right now. And it's just the best estimate of where we're at and expenses and everything at this point.
Of course.
So I just wanted to have you have that in the back of your mind too, with the budget coming up. So I don't know if you have any questions on that?
That's some good information, and it
Yeah, thank you.
helps us a lot, know where we're at.
And again, you know, if you have other questions about it later for the budget meeting, let me know, but I'll go over it again. I'll have that same information that night.
Mr. Mayor, may I ask a question?
Sure.
Well, talking about the water,
Mm-hmm.
if we were to add an extra penny,
Mm-hmm.
what kind of revenue does that generate over the course of, say, a year or 2 years? If we were trying to look at applying that to infrastructure?
Right. Well,
Do you have any idea, like, how that,
I don't have a calculator. I have my phone over there. So if you look at that sheet, the other sheet that's moving on to the next part of the water sewer rate.
Yeah, I was
Right.
just looking, if we take the number of gallons sold per year, and that would give you an idea of revenue. that you
Oh,
would
right,
get.
on that sheet that I passed out, at the
Right.
top it says per 1,000 gallons is the 81,565, is really 81,9, but it goes around 5,000. So right now, our current water rate is $3.68 per 1,000, at the 81 generates $300,000 revenue. So you would just take the penny times the 81 price.
$815.65 a year.
Yep, exactly.
Not a whole lot,
No.
but, you know, over time. And maybe someday we'll be very glad we did that when
Right.
something
Yeah.
terrible happens.
800, even if we took it and rounded it up. But,
We can move on to water. Did anyone have any fund balance questions?
no,
Okay.
that was just a piece of,
we already
as we're,
jumped into that.
sorry,
Okay.
yeah.
No, I just want to make sure.
When we were talking about budgeting, I was,
Yep, okay, moving on, Mike Engels from Michigan Rural Water came in and, helped us do the water rate study, he was very helpful. And these are just his, recommendations, they're not set in stone, this is what he would recommend for us to meet our goal with the new USDA project and our other, expenses that we have. And we can phase this in, do it all right now, which would be the new rate, the lowest, the one on the bottom there. We can do a third this year, we can do half this year, and then half next year. It's totally up to us, and like I said, these are just what he is recommending to cover our costs. We can do more, I wouldn't recommend doing less.
Right.
This, but if we wanted to do more, we could. So that's the breakdown. I did the current rate, a third, a half, and then if we did the full new rate. So there's 3 scenarios there. And then at the bottom, for the water rate, the sewer rate, and the debt service. The bottom graph shows our current water bill on an average of 6,000 gallons right now would be $75 to $75.89. So then I showed you the 3 scenarios. If we raised it, it would go up. If we did a third, it would be $83.41. If we went half, it would be $90.93. If we did the full amount this year, it would bring it up to $98.32. Does that make sense?
Uh-huh.
Okay. So, I guess that's where we're at. We need that to, fulfill our obligations of paying on the new loan, and we have to do, reserve money each year on that loan also. So that will cover our costs. And then if we want to go above that,
Explain to me the reserve money on that loan.
On the USDA loan, we have our interest and principal paying each year, but then they also make you put in reserve money for up to, I don't have the loan papers in front of me, versus the water one is $4,200 a year, up to $42,000. And then that just stays, it's kind of like a savings account, so if we have, if we should fault on it, or we have to repair something, and that money is sitting out there, but they make us go put that money in there till we reach the 42,000. I know that's the water, I don't know off the top of my head what the sewer one.
Now, when that money is reached,
That stays there.
okay, we can't use it for infrastructure. Okay.
Yeah, that's kind of like a,
So even when we pay it off?
no, then it will go to pay off. If we get through the whole loan to the end of the loan, and I think it's 2056, if it's still there, it goes to pay off that.
It makes the last payment or whatever.
It's to ensure that we
Got
make
it.
the payment before they come and seize the city.
Okay.
And I don't remember what the sewer, I know the water was 42,000, but it's for the
Okay.
first 10 years of the loan.
You answered
Then
my
it sits out
question.
there.
I didn't know if they were trying to make us save for the future.
No.
No.
Okay.
On our rates here, I know when we were approved by the loan, they gave us a number that we had to hit to cover our costs.
Mm-hmm.
Which one of these are that?
The USDA?
Well,
it is not here. That wasn't, it wasn't.
okay. Which one does it reflect that we have here in front of us? Or we don't know?
To be in compliance.
Oh,
Right now, today, we're collecting X to meet our payment.
we're not, that isn't on here. That,
Okay.
it was, well, we raised it a little last year, but we
Yeah.
knew we would raise it more.
Yeah.
It would have to be at least a half would be the minimum.
Okay.
Okay, so the third isn't even an option. Okay.
My question is that tonight, if anything, if all things have failed, at a minimum, we have to approve half.
Correct.
So we have to at least go to the 90
Meet our
number.
balance budget.
So the 83 number is not even an option.
Right.
All right, that's what, when did you need that?
Well, if you're comfortable, you can vote on it tonight, or we can wait to the budget meeting. It's whatever.
Well, I'd like to at least have it out in the public for another.
You done? You done?
I was just saying, I would not want to make a motion on it tonight in the event that, like,
We need to get it publicized.
yeah, just people need to know it's going to happen. Not because it changes what we do, but
Yeah. And then too, I know there's a whole lot of information in those water reports, but it is really good.
Yeah.
somewhat interesting
It is.
information.
It
If
is.
you have a chance to look at it,
I read it, it
Yeah.
was very informative.
Yeah.
Mrs. Nixon had a question.
So, I guess then I'm a little confused. I'm saying that half the new rate will cover our loans and current expenses, if I understood correctly. So, let's say that we, as a council, decided to go now and until things get more expensive with the half rate, we would be covered completely.
yeah. But that's doing no capital expense, that's just covering the loans and our expenses. That's putting nothing into capital, nothing into, maintenance.
It doesn't amortize anything.
Yeah, that's
That just
to
pays
break
the bill.
even and pay our bills.
Yep.
Oh,
Doesn't even break
now
even, it
now
pays the bill.
I understand. So to make sure I've got it, the new proposed rate covers all of our current expenses, plus maintenance, plus eventual necessary equipment replacement. And it's, what it does not cover, and what we're thinking about trying to put a little bit away at a time, is sewer lines that need to be replaced,
Broken
Or-
water main.
broken water mains, things like that. Okay, now I understand. Thank you.
Okay. So I guess, if we have the manager request us on the next month's meeting, what direction you would like to have us go?
At the budget meeting, right?
That
Yeah.
would be
Okay,
fine.
that would be,
Yes.
So if we can discuss it at the budget meeting, and then hopefully we may have on the agenda for a move, or to move on it. And then also, we would probably want to put something in the paper that we have to start raising rates, so the phones don't totally burn off the wall.
And yeah, maybe on the website and
That too.
give people a heads up.
I did have one more, piece of information. I have a spreadsheet here, and I can make copies to give you. It lists 50 other municipalities and what their rates are compared to ours. And we are, right now, we're average. We're right on
Yep.
average. This, but it's just kind of interesting to see what other municipalities are at. So if anyone would like a copy, I can get that to you too.
Yeah.
And then also, going back to the budget, I passed it out, but I can also email it to you along with the
Oh.
capital improvement plan. That's a really big report, so I definitely want to print it all out.
That'd be
But I will,
amazing if you could email that.
to each of you also, along with the email copy of the budget that I handed out tonight.
Yeah.
Will we
Okay.
be having a capital improvement CIP meeting or?
We'll discuss that at the budget
Yeah.
meeting too. Yeah.
Yeah,
Then in May, we'll would approve, when we approve the budget, we would officially approve the water rate increase, the budget, and the capital plan.
I guess the only question I have is, if that bottled water, people will pay $1 for it, and they complain about 1,000 gallons of water, $4, is a problem.
I agree.
Mr. Clark,
I noticed
then
that
we'll move on.
our amount of water that we sold dropped by 15 million gallons?
Yeah, it was a huge drop. Yeah,
Is
we
there
lost,
any explanation for that?
Um,
Is there one?
it's, yes, we talked about that, I talked about that with Mike. That is very common in, most municipalities. It's not just us. He said that that is the trend because everyone's appliances are more efficient. It's based on your summer, if it's a wet or a dry summer. He said he'd be surprised if we had a water increase.
Yeah.
That is the norm now, is the lower. Yeah, because if you look in that report, we lost $50,000 in revenue in the last 2 years in water revenue from the water usage down.
You're not gonna get that.
No, but I do have hope, like, Slade Pack coming in, that will up our, water usage, and, we do have some things that will.
Dave.
Gotta have water to read beer, but, so we do have that, as a.
And on some level, if we're pumping less water, our equipment, and then we stop the
Right,
infiltration problem, right? I mean, we should have, on some level, less wear and tear. I mean, I'm not saying it's a wash, but, no pun intended, but it's, in theory, right, less.
But yeah, there wasn't one specific reason for use. He said it's coming in,
Well, if you look at all the building trades today, all the requirements that on the very low flow gallonage urinals and commodes,
Yeah.
showers and everything, so that, right there. So, any other questions? Great.
Thank you.
Good info. So we discussed two items there.
Mm-hmm.
Item E, discussion regarding a new agenda format.
I think it's great.
Well, last month you gave me permission to play around with the agenda to try to make it a little easier to maneuver around.
Wonderful.
And to get away from policy 12 being waived every time we turn around. So with your blessing or any comments, this is what I'll put together next month for your agenda.
Looks wonderful.
Good. All right, that, moving on to item F. Ms. Christian, during the workshop, we discussed it, have them, or the city manager, inquire other municipalities what their protocol is for visitation of facilities. I guess right now we don't know. We want to be in compliance. I understand there is none.
Nothing in writing.
Nothing in writing. So I think what's council discretion? We want to check with other municipalities or have the manager come up with some
Make a recommendation next month or?
that
Yeah, or the beginnings of a recommendation anyway.
sounds good. Any other discussion on that?
Just, I know we used to do, and this is when you were the DPW director and I planted flowers out there, we used to give tours of the water treatment facility. Is that still a thing?
No, people come out there anymore. They don't want it.
Okay. They used to like hand out Tootsie Rolls. That was kind of funny.
Yeah,
But like we landscaped around it because there used to be like tours.
when
Come look at our stuff.
When there was money, the schools used to come there and we would give them chocolate milk and Tootsie Rolls. But budget cuts, no busing.
We did, for real. It was a
Don't even
thing.
ask. We're more than willing to take.
Yeah, they're more than willing. It's just nobody does it.
I just didn't know if that was still a thing. Like I remember the garden club landscaped out there because they had so many tours. They wanted it to look nice.
Okay,
Yeah, for real.
now we just
It was a
turned
thing, yeah.
Mr. Ringler's beer and wine into water. Discussion, moving on to item G. Discussion regarding the email use and Facebook use and request by council. Oh,
It'll be okay here.
oh, yeah.
We do spend a lot of time talking about poop on this council.
Okay, on another subject.
Moving on.
I was looking through the MML website for different policies that different cities have on their email use or state email use. And I'm sure it doesn't happen here, but they do. There is a policies about gaming and shopping and personal emails and maybe haven't put forth a huge effort because I know Linda's been just drowning in work. So we can look a little bit more on that. And I was also researching some DDA Facebook pages in different cities and what they use and just trying to work up some policies. I wanted to ask Perry if somebody from Electric Theater had a little thing in the DDA Facebook. That was nice. So if somebody from, let's say, Vander Heights, they just built their new building, if they wanted to put something on your DDA page, would that
They
be
can
okay?
post anything they want. I
Oh,
got it
yeah.
set, so anybody can post on it.
Oh,
You know, we've had a lot of discussion on this back and forth, you know, and hopefully maybe this new manager we're getting will have some insight. Just on, and maybe he will be able to help us guide this along to see if we can get it going where we want it to go.
it's a valuable tool if we,
Good
we just
advertising.
get to using it to the benefit of our community. And I don't think there's any reason that we can't.
Our web, for just something for going forward in the future, something for people to think about, we have a web person. I mean, I don't know if that's a place where we want to allocate some money to have that person put up a Facebook page and do some monitoring of it, and...
I don't think she has the time to do that.
No,
Okay.
that's another,
I mean, how do communities that have Facebook pages do that?
They have someone on staff that does it.
yeah, they have a paid staff position. Which
But
we
it
don't
just
have.
does Facebook?
We used to have a Facebook page when Chris Burns was here.
Right.
She really,
She did it all,
Yep.
and when she left, a lot of it was Red Flannel related, and with all of the problems that were going on then, it just kind of dissipated.
Yeah, well, and I think she shut it down. And I'm not saying
Either or.
she shouldn't have. I'm just saying, I agree with Counselor Powell that it's a really powerful marketing tool when you're talking about communicating with your community out there. I also understand that while the platform is free, running it is not. And,
Therein lies the problem.
well, and I'm not even advocating that's necessarily a bad thing. I'm not saying I wouldn't even be willing to pay somebody. The question becomes, like, how many hours would you need to allocate to that? And who would that person be?
Maybe when I retire, I could do your Facebook page.
Yeah.
But
I don't know, would that be the kind of thing that somebody, how many hours, I mean, what would it take?
well, I can tell you, the Tennis Theater page, I do about 30 hours a week.
For their Facebook page?
Yes.
30 hours a week of just Facebook?
Position.
Oh, I was asking Linda for her retirement, how she would feel about a work from home position.
Well, I want to do something.
Marinate
I don't
on
want to
it.
sit.
Marinate.
Yeah, no, seriously though. I mean,
So we should really contact all of anybody that's in this DDA footprint, if they have something they feel is a good part to our citizens and our community, they can send it in, you administer it, you would editor it, is that, or can they just?
no, they would just
throw it
directly
on there?
post,
They just
right?
directly post it on there.
Okay, there's no administration at all.
I am administration on it, but the way it is set up, it's the same way that most people have their personal pages, unless they put it restricted, you can just automatically directly put on there.
And you have it set so that
Correct.
anybody can post, and then as an administrator, you just
you have
like
to review.
delete the, buy these 25,000 pairs of shoes.
Correct. Any spam and stuff I drop off there, any perversion stuff I chop off there.
It's,
So
yeah.
you've got an eye on it all the time.
Well, when it shows up in my feed, yes.
But
You
you
have-
get on the page.
I don't have to. When somebody posts on there, it goes to my,
He doesn't approve it first.
Alright, he doesn't approve it, it just goes on.
just goes on there. But I get a notification to this light one, as well as to my computer.
Right, it pops up like on your email.
Somebody posted, somebody liked, somebody engaged,
You
somebody
probably get that
done
directly to
something
your
to that
phone?
page, yes.
Yeah, because I would say, like, my husband has a smartwatch, and his Facebook and his email goes directly to his watch. And so, like, he can be teaching, and if he gets an email from me or a Facebook message from me, it's on his wrist. I'm not wired like that, but lots of people are.
But I think I don't know, I think there should be somebody look at it before it actually gets.
Well, but
posted.
then,
Some
if you're
bad
gonna do
stuff.
that, then you start talking about a whole lot more time.
And then you're talking back to what I said before.
30 hours?
When the DDA, when it came up at the DDA for making a DDA Facebook page, what we were putting on there was DDA happens. That is what I volunteered to do. And anytime I'm not fulfilling my volunteering, you can fire me at any point.
Simmer down.
No,
But-
we're going nowhere
but it
here,
is-
folks. Hey, I'm gonna call it now.
Okay.
We're going nowhere. No more questions? We're done. Okay? I think we need, we can look at this, let's bring some comments back next month. But we need to, keep calmer heads and let's, it's obvious it's gonna cost some money. Somebody's gotta pay it, or somebody's gotta volunteer to do the time. Obviously, Mr. Hopkins doesn't have the time or the want to do it. Mrs. Powell wants to come, we have to come together to see how we can make it work for the betterment of the community. Okay?
Can I say one more thing? I've already said it once, but I seriously, what she wants on there is not a BDA page, that is a
Okay.
City of Cedar Springs page.
Duly noted.
Yeah.
Thank you. Okay, we're gonna move on to item H. And that is the brewing company's, temporary use application. Kristen, can you speak to this?
Yes, Dave has an event planned for April 2nd. Last month, you did a first reading of approving it as a community event. You have before you the resolution and his application. So he's just asking for community event status.
Let's talk back about turning beer into water, shall we? Yeah, actually, in our conversation, I'm not sure if we even really need to do this or not, but in the interest of being proactive and open, we have an event planned for April 2nd. It's entirely on our property. I have both an application for a special use there, whether it's needed or not. It's there for you. And then we also have, which I don't know if you saw, Second Kelly, we need your signature to apply to the NLCC for a temporary permit for outside. It will be entirely within our parking lot.
Advertising. Advertising.
We appreciate it.
But it is, the only difference from our normal operations is that we would be putting up a tent in our parking lot outside. And that would take place outside. It's fenced in. We have security in and out for, that minors are not accessing it.
Aren't you having like a band or something?
We'll have live music.
Okay, so the sound ordinance piece, you would need waived.
If we would, I'm not entirely clear on that either. I know when I looked, I saw something about 7:30 for any amplified music, but I don't know whether that was applicable in this case or not.
But the community event would give you the option.
Well, this isn't a community event. This is a special.
It's a special use.
Special use.
Oh, so we're not making the
It's not
motion
a
for
community
community
event
event?
because we're not on public property.
That's why
I'm sorry?
I am
I filled
making.
out the temporary use application, but we are doing a resolution.
Okay.
Okay, that's what I thought.
Okay. We're good.
See, I'm not as stupid as I look.
Fair enough.
Okay. For the,
So,
Any
Mr.
questions?
Mayor, I would like to make a motion to create a community event for the Cedar Springs Brewing Company that will be titled
Resolution 20,
Resolution 20-16-8, but for a community event titled something in German.
Stockgitside.
Stock. What
We
did he
cannot do
say?
an Oktoberfest because it coincides with Red Flannel, and there's absolutely no reason to do that. So this will be our German event of the year. We are releasing 5 new products on that.
Okay,
on that
so
date.
to have a festival for what he said in German. Someone
You're going to need
please
to spell that.
spell it for the person who's doing minutes.
STARKBIERZIET.
All righty, so I make
All
a
one word.
motion.
Good German. Good
is there
German.
support?
Support that.
All right, it's been moved and supported. Now, further discussion?
Just
Any other
to
questions
clarify,
of
the community
Mr.
event does give you the ability to have music that's later than the ordinance.
We have it, part of it's going to be the band schedule and what they can do, but it's
Just-
not going to be a late
Just
night thing.
clarifying,
We're looking at something that's going to start in the afternoon and be done in the early evening.
it's
Great.
within your purview.
Okay, agree.
And the name means, roughly?
Stockgitside is the releasing of the Bach beers.
Yeah.
It traditionally takes place in March. We're a little bit tardy, but most Americans don't know that. Oh, that's
Spring
public
beer.
record now.
There.
Any other discussion? None, I'll have a roll call vote. Mr. Clark?
Yes.
Mr. Hopkins? Mrs. Nixon?
Yes.
Mrs. Powell?
Yeah.
Mr. Truesdale? Mrs. Conley?
Yes.
Mr. All votes yes, motion carried. Thank you. Have a good, hopefully,
April 2nd.
whatever.
Stock
A spring
yes.
beer.
And I'm sure I massacred that for anyone who speaks German.
Are we able to figure out this young man if we do it without any comment and promise to not comment?
It's
Promise
late.
to all keep
I
our
know,
mouths
but
shut.
You won't,
in
you
here.
won't, you won't, that's it, it's late.
I will bite my tongue and sit on my hands.
You're not the only one.
I will also be quiet.
Okay. Seems how we completed all of our business, and before we move into the manager's report, there's a person here that would like to address this council. We will hear him. It'd be like a public comment. All questions and answers would be referred to the city manager for resolution.
And just to clarify, he's speaking on
He
item
will,
A.
yeah. He's
From-
speaking to item A on the agenda. And if you would identify yourself, and your phone is going to interfere with our PA. Something is. I think it was your phone. There was something when you got fussing with it. Hear the clicking.
My name is Eric John Shapiniak.
Could you step up to the microphone and speak clearly and make sure your address and name, please?
Address who?
You need to address us with your name and address so that our recording clerk may copy that.
Alright, my name is Eric John Shapiniak. I'm a resident of Alpine Township. I've been going around to the municipalities in the 74th state district, which is Rob Verheulen's, Representative Rob Verheulen. I spoke with him in depth about Citizens United, and he wanted to hear from the municipalities about what they thought about
He was doing that before you came in.
Yeah, it's been doing that.
No, go ahead as best you can. I don't think that'll do it. It shouldn't. There may be some technical difficulties that we have. Proceed.
Okay, so we wanted to hear from the local municipalities in his district about what they thought of getting money out of politics. Money in politics is a huge disaster when it comes to a democracy. In 2010, the Supreme Court formally legalized bribery, in effect, at the federal level. In their ruling in Citizens United, they said that money is the freedom of speech and therefore it can never be abridged. This overturned 100 years of legal precedent and other Supreme Court cases that said that democratically enacted reforms should be able to be upheld by the Constitution. From the years 2007 to the years 2012, $5.8 billion was invested by the top 200 for-profit industries, corporations into the federal government, into the Congress. They employed just over 20,000 lobbyists to talk with Congress members to get what their agendas, to push for their own agendas. And these 200 corporations that put in $5.8 billion collectively were then granted $4.4 trillion in government contracts and taxpayer subsidies and corporate bailouts. So when these corporations go out of business or they sink below because they're paying awful amounts to their CEOs, just insane amounts. The average CEO in America makes 300 times what their average employee makes today. And that would be fine if the business stayed afloat. But in America today, because these businesses go under, a lot of times they're given these taxes, which all comes back to the people. So our tax dollars are being used to spend and to invest to pay for the mistakes of these huge corporations. And the reason that it's still legal is because they have all this money to invest into the political scheme. In 2010, the Supreme Court heard a case regarding the Bipartisan Campaign Reform Act, which was a miracle that it got passed in Congress. But it was actually championed by Senator John McCain. So it's not a partisan issue. It's championed by Senator McCain and signed into law by President Bush in 2003. And this was common sense measure.